I can explain now. You can download it later when you need it. Okay? So
Okay.
at this point, I want to explain to you, because I said we are going to facilitate 4 rounds. Okay, each round it's a virtual 6 months. Okay, so one round is equivalent to 6 months of operations, which means when you start making decisions for the planning tool, whatever decision you make is going to last for 6 months before you have an opportunity to amend that decision. Okay. For example, if you decide, okay, I'm going to charge 440 per unit, okay, per surfboard that I'm going to sell. So it means that price for 440 is going to last for a virtual 6 months. So which means you will have to wait until I give you the outcome of you charging 600, see whether you have made a profit or a loss. Then you have now a chance to start a second round where you are now going to say, okay, last time I charged 440, I sold out, maybe the price was too low, I can increase, or maybe I had too much stock, I had to reduce the price, okay? Because maybe customers were not happy with it, okay? So each of those 6 months, they come now, each round that we are going to facilitate, it will come with a news, okay? This news is actually to give you an outlook of the next 6 months, okay? How does the next six months looks like? Is it a good? Is it a crisis? Are there too many costs? Are the costs lower, or what so on? So that's why the news is very, very important. It guides you to estimate your demand. In business, we say sales forecast. The news will help you to do your sales forecast, to estimate how many units am I likely to sell in the next 6 months, depending on what the news says is the number of customers available in the market. Because if the news, for example, says there's only 800 customers available in the market, not for you and the other competitors, okay? You have now to say, okay, if there's only 800 and we are 6 companies, how many units am I likely to sell? Maybe I would say maybe I could sell maybe 160. So based on that, you decide you are going maybe to expect to sell 160, and your production will be based on that 160. The number of workers you make use of will be based on that 160. The materials you are going to buy will be based on that 160. So that's why it's very, very crucial for you to understand the news, because the news is kind of a foundation of a good planning. Okay, are we together?
Yes.
That's good. Okay, I'm now going to explain the news to you and what does some of these figures mean. Okay, in the next 6 months, there are favorable economic forecasts for all countries, have a positive effect on private consumption. So when we have good economic forecasts, people have money and they're likely to go for leisure and spend money on extramural activities because they have extra money, disposable income. Okay, because of that, that will also have an influence. It will have an influence on our industry. Our industry is surfboards. Okay, so people are likely to spend some extra money to buy a surfboard to go surf and have leisure and have fun, good time with their families and so on. Because of that, we expect. Do you have a pen and paper?
Yes.
Okay. We expect a demand for surfboards of between 600 to 1,800 units. Okay, which means we expect about 600 to 1,800 people to buy surfboards. Okay, but this is now the current information. But do you have your market study there open?
Yes.
Okay, I want you quickly to switch to the market study,
Okay.
the PDF that I shared with you.
Yes, it's open.
On the first slide, there's a figure there, total market demand.
700 to 800.
Okay, 6 months ago, when the information was collected about the market, it only showed that the demand was only going to be 7 to 800. That was 6 months ago. Why is that important? It's because your business plan was prepared based on that demand of 7 to 800, because your business plan was also now prepared 6 months ago. 6 months later, we are being told now the demand has improved because of the economic forecast. You see the link? Okay. Why is this important again? Is because your business plan, the decisions in your business plan, they are not based on the demand of 6 to 1,800. No, they are based on the demand 7 to 800, which means the figures about your sales forecast, about your production, about the workers you were expected to make use of in the first 6 months of your operation, they are likely to change. Because obviously, common sense, you cannot stick to your old demand when you are told there's more demand. Okay? Are we together?
Yes.
Do you have your business plan open also?
Yes.
I just want you to switch quickly there.
Okay.
Okay. Under sales forecast.
Okay.
So the first line there, what does it say?
The in units 700. Which one now? The estimated total market volume.
You see, a consultant did that business for you. And for them, they said, okay, even though the demand was between 7 to 800, he did not believe 800 people will come. Okay? And he also did not believe 700 people will come. He picked a number between this range, isn't it?
Yes.
What number did he pick there?
780.
780. He was also very optimistic because 780 to 800 is very close. He also believed, okay, maybe more people will come, but not obviously maybe 800. So I will base my demand on 780. Okay. So after that one, you can see how now he planned, how many units he planned to sell. I mean, how many customers he planned to come to the market from the first round up to the 6th round. Usually we simulate 6 rounds, but because of the online stuff, now we just do 4 rounds. You can see the number of people or units expected to be sold is increasing with the period.
Yes.
So you can see those small number 1, 2, 3, 4. They represent period 1, period 2, 3, 4, and so on. That's why the information under the first column, that's the information we will be using for period 1. Second column, period 2. Third column, period 3. Fourth column, period 4. So your focus must be under first column.
Okay.
Startup and obviously period 1. Okay. You can see now, if you just read down, you can see there's a number there, market share. Can you see that? What market share did the consultant estimated for you?
In the first period, it's 19%.
19%. So if you now, Excel is doing this for you, but I'm just explaining to you so that you understand the logic of those numbers there. So, okay, in the market, the 780 is not only for your shop, is the number of customers the consultant expected you to compete for with other 6 competitors in the market. Remember, I showed you the 6 companies competing. The 6th one is you. The other ones are your competition.
Yes.
So the 780 is what the guy expected you guys to compete for in the first round. So he estimated that your market share is 19%. So market share now is your portion of the total market, which means of the 780, the guy expected you to attract 19% of that to your shop. That's why you have the hence number of units, or hence number of units, or hence number of, what does it say there?
Hence, sales in units is 148.
Okay, that's good. So the guy planned or estimated for you to sell 148 surfboards in the first 6 months of your operation, which means in the first period. So why am I explaining this? Is because these figures are going to change, because the news, which is the current information, is telling us now the demand is no more 700 to 800, but it's now between 600 to 1,800.
Yes.
Okay, so obviously logic there is, obviously you will not be expected to sell 148 anymore, because that was based on the fact that the maximum demand was only 800. But now the maximum demand is now 1,800. So that's why they are saying it's a favorable economic condition that is going to affect our industry in a good manner. Okay, now I want you just to make some of these decisions on the go. Okay, are we together?
Yes, sir.
I want you to remember that. Okay, while I finish explaining the news, I will come back to the news. Now you can switch on to your MS Teams.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a lot of readings there, surfboards, a lot of demand, but I want you to pay attention to this last sentence in that second paragraph there. There's good demand, the demand has gone up, but there's a however there. However, it's important to inform these customers about offers. Okay, so you see where is that driving you, isn't it? Okay?
Yes.
So it's to say there's good demand, but it's very crucial that you also inform, because you are not the only one in the market. So if you don't inform customers in the market about your offers, you likely not to sell also. So that's why now the competition aspect kicks in here. Okay, the customers are there for everybody, but who attracts more? You can already see here. Advertising and sales promotion therefore have an evident impact on your total sales. This is just a kind of a warning to say, as much as there's a lot of customers now compared to what we expected, we still have to make an effort to attract these customers to come to our shop. Customers first will come to the island as a market, but it's up to us now to attract them to come to our shop and not go to the competitor. Because if we let them go to the competitor, we are losing a sale.
Yes.
Okay? So this is now to just say here, be careful when you make a decision on your marketing budget. It's very, very important. But if you go back to your business plan, switch back to your business plan. Okay, same section, sales focus. The second last information there on that list, down there.
Okay.
What does it say there?
The planned expenses for communication.
Okay.
Like printing, advertising, sales promotion in the first period is $9,013.
Okay, so you can see that is a generic budget for everyone actually who is a cost leader. So it's saying the consultant estimated you to spend that, but you have to remember now the consultant was only allocating that based on the demand of 700 to 800.
Yes.
But logical wise, business wise, the more people you want to target, the more money
you spend on
your marketing activities.
Yes.
So that's also now a clue there to say, when you are going to make your final decision for marketing budget, you can decide, do you want to stick to that budget or do you want to change that?
Okay.
And while we are here, the logic of completing the planning tool is actually to transform or to transfer the information you have in your business plan from the business plan to the planning tool, just to reaffirm, to say, I stick to this decision or I change this decision. All the decision you are going to make in the planning tool, they are already in the business plan. But you come in now because those decisions in the business plan are prepared by the consultant. But who's the owner of the business? It's you. You have a final say. And how do you make your final say? You don't go to the business plan and change the figures there. No, you just go to your planning tool and update the figures there. Do you see that relationship?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when we start with the planning tool, I want you to understand why you will need your business plan. It's for that reason. Okay, for example, if you want to stick to the budget that is given by the consultant and disregard the increment or the increase of the market size, you can just say, okay, my marketing budget, they say is 9,000. I go to my planning tool, I divide that 9,000 between print and sales promotion. Then I go to the next decision. You can do that, but you have to consider the current information, which is the news. You have to think, how is the news affecting your business plan? Because the news is the current information. Okay, good. I proceed now. I think I've explained enough. In the next paragraph, remember that you have to develop your surfboard first before you can start with production. So that's why I said you have 3 cost centers: development phase, production phase, then your last one, selling phase. So which means you also have to spend some money on the development phase. Before you send your ideas to production, a designer will have to design which shape, what feature will be included on the surfboard. Are we going to have a shark detector there? Are we going to have a GPS in case somebody's lost in the sea? Are we going to add extra layer in addition to the fiber and hard form, which are the core materials to produce the surfboard? Or are we going to cut out all of these fancy things and just, sell the just a normal surfboard? Okay. In general, I like to compare these 2 strategies with 2 phones. You know, we have these small phones, this Katoshe. Then we have here iPhone 7. Yes. These are all phones. Okay? They can all perform a basic function of a mobile phone, to make a call and send a text, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
But at the end of the day, the guy for the iPhone says, okay, I will spend so much money. I will hire very experienced engineers who I might pay so much money, but so that they can come up with iPhone 7. Okay, it's a choice. But they could also say, okay, but we can also hire a basic skill to make a Katoshe, okay? And we save on the developmental cost. But we could spend more money to hire experienced developers to develop for us good software, good systems, and extra features, so we sell a nice phone. But you guys chose to be a Katoshe, target many people who can afford it, because you don't care about the fanciness of the phone. You just care that we sell, people can afford, and at least our surfboard has met minimum requirement standards.
Yes.
So now, this minimum 15,000 they are talking about here and it's only for the first period. When we go to period 2, I will be using these words interchangeably. I might say period or I might say round. Ne?
Okay.
It's the same. So if in the first period, you will be required at least to spend 15,000 because you are starting from scratch. But as we go to the second period, you can then start to cut down on this budget to save money.
Okay.
And this 15 is the minimum. There's no maximum. Okay? if you want a more quality surfboard in terms of fairness and how it looks, how it attracts, try to improve sales, it means you have to invest more. But that's not what your strategy says. Eh? Your strategy says, you go back to the video, but you can't go back now. It says your investment in R&D is standard. So it doesn't have to be too much. As much as you are going to make a decision, if you go back to your business plan now, go back there.
Okay. I'm back.
Go to the 4th page, human resources and premises,
Retail.
I think.
Rental. Which one now? The 4th one is production, logistics, and investment.
Okay, the 5th one.
Oh.
The accounting from sales focus, the cover page is not counted. Okay.
Okay.
The 4th section is HR. We are
Yes.
talking about the workers there. But you have at the bottom, you have other expenses there.
Which one?
At the bottom,
Yeah.
the bottom face of that page, you have other expenses.
Yes.
Can you see R&D there?
Yes.
First period, how much?
18,000.
Okay. Now, when it's time to complete the planning tool, you have to remember, oh, the consultant advised me to invest in. For you now is to decide, are you going to stick to that? Remember, the minimum is 15. So, but the guy opted to maybe advise you to spend 18, just so that you don't sell just a plain black and white or whatever color those fiber, completely just naked surfboard. At least it says 18,000. You have added might be some nice colors there and whatsoever. Okay, but not advanced features. So the R&D budget means the more you spend, the more features you have. And the software that I showed you first, it's going to rate your surfboard as of high quality. And that only allows you to charge more. But remember, you are not a tech leader. You are a cost leader. You have always to remember of your strategy.
Okay.
Okay. So, but you can see now how the news is linking to the business plan.
Yes.
And also to the market study. Market study also showed us the minimum requirement for R&D for the first round is 15,000. Okay. So I want you to take note of that. Then the last paragraph is that good news concerning personnel recruitment. Several surfing fanatics and people on extended leave are interested in working for your company. This means that you can do without the usual mechanisms, which are job interviews, job postings, and for hiring employees. Usually, when you post vacancies in the newspaper, you pay, not for free. When you call outsourcing solution to, remember, you are just going to the island. You don't have an established human resources department actually capable of helping you to hire experienced workers. Usually, when you need experienced workers, you can either go to labor hires, but labor hires will only give you temporary workers that are mostly very expensive based on those laws on the island, or you can maybe use the service of a consultant, like don't know if you know this human resources consultant who will help you to do interviews, selection, and recommend a good competitive candidate.
Yes.
Okay? Those services we pay for, but they are still now for this first period. You can do without those mechanisms because there are so many experienced people who don't have a job. They will just come and look for a job at your door, and you just test if they know, then you can just hire them. So that means you are going to save on the hiring costs. And I want to make sense out of this, I want you to just switch on to market research quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm there.
Market research, you go to the second slide. I assume that is human resources.
Yes.
And premises, ne?
Yes.
Those slides have headings. So every time when you are going to plan, when you need information, for a specific section on your planning tool, it will say maybe human resources. It means such information under human resources will fall under that slide. Okay? If it's information about machines, it will fall under the production line slide. If it's about money, then it will fall under premises and finances
and accounting.
Yeah. On the second page, you can see there's a hiring costs. How much is it?
Hiring cost is 2,000.
Okay. You see, 6 months ago, we were informed if you need to hire a person, you must be prepared to pay 2,000 for those hiring services that I was explaining.
Yeah.
So that's why they are saying here it's a good news concerning personnel recruitment, because you are going to save that 2,000.
Yes.
Because you can now hire without those normal mechanisms that could usually cost you that 2,000. Okay. So that's why we are saying it's a good news there. You see how crucial this news is, because it actually updates you on it's updating the old information that is outdated. Okay, but when the information is in the market study and it's not discussed in the news, it means it will remain the same as per the market study, as per the market research.
Yes.
Okay.
We are together.
They are saying there are no hiring costs, and why am I explaining this? Is because the market has gone up. You are likely to change your sales forecast. You are likely to change the number of units you expect to sell, and if you change that, obviously you are also going to change the number of units you are going to produce. And if you change that, it means you might also need extra production workers. So you are likely to hire one employee or two, depending. But while I'm at this, I want you to go back to the human resources again on your planning tool.
Okay.
On the first section there, it says employees at startup.
Sorry, on the planning tool?
Yeah, under the human resources section. I think it's 4th page. The one I referred you for.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it on the business plan or on the planning tool?
The business plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let me answer this start, and then I just tell him.
Okay. Go away.
Ndirimo klasa man, andi longo man.
And your shoes also.
Dikuilando. Oh, I andi vundupe me happy kupitike popatempo. Just call when we are a little bit closer. Okay. Okay, I'm back now. I'm sorry for distraction.
No problem.
You are there now, ne?
Yes.
The first figure there, the first information, what does it say? What does the heading say? It's very important to read those headings. Okay.
The heading of the first information.
Yeah.
Part 1.
Yeah.
Human resources, employees at startup, total number of employees.
Yeah. You see, it's very important to know we have already passed the startup phase. Okay. The startup phase was the phase that the consultant was dealing with. And we have to be aware that The consultant made some of your critical decisions at startup that were required. You know, when you are registering a business, there are some requirements. Like, for example, for you to get a social security papers, you must show that you have employed somebody. So because that guy was required when he registered your company, because your company is already registered on that software, I showed you, isn't it? When your company was registered there, that was the startup phase. And one of the requirements was that you must have already some employees who have signed contracts with your company. So those employees at startup, those guys, they are already your employees. You already have them, and they already have a contract with your company. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have 3 departments in your company. You have administration and purchasing, you have production, and you have sales. Okay. So you can see now how many workers were hired for you in administration.
0.5.
Okay, maybe you are thinking now, how can I hire a 0.5 employee? So
Yeah.
that is represented in terms of time to be worked. Okay, so which means the person who is going to work in your administration will only be working 50% of the time. They will not work for the whole day, 8 hours. No, they only work half the time.
Okay.
In sales, how many workers were hired?
1.
1 means somebody working 100% of the time, 8 hours.
Yes.
This information is very critical. Okay? In production, yes. How many?
2.
Eh?
2.
2 workers. Okay? Means 2 people, each working 100% of the time.
Okay.
Okay. I want you to be aware there. Somebody who's working 100% is indicated with a 1. Somebody who's working less than 100% of the time is indicated with a 0 point. If they are working 80% of the time, it means 0.8. If they are working 10% of the time, it means 0.1. Are we together?
Yes. Yes.
So why is this very, very important? Is because sometimes when you are going to need workers to produce, you will have 2 options, either to hire a full-time or a temporary worker.
Yes.
Temporary workers are going to be paid according to the work done. That's why you must always know, if a temporary worker is only working 20% of the time, how much do I pay them? Okay? You must know that. And while I'm explaining this, I want you to go back to your market research quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see Emerin is in the house.
She can catch up.
Bye.
Okay. She can catch up. It's fine. Did you open that document? Market research?
Yes, it's open.
Okay. So I want you to check there. This is a very critical information that I want to explain together with this last paragraph of the news. Okay. What is the productivity per employee?
Productivity is at the market research.
Yes, and human resources.
Okay, let me, okay. Productivity per employee is 80 units.
So that means in the time frame of 6 months, a person working 100% is able to produce 80 units, 80 surfboards. That's what it means, né? And you must know that because it's very, very, very important. Okay. Can you remember about your expected sales in the business plan and sales in units? It was
Yes.
100 and
I noticed the number of units. Nothing. How should I put it? The number of units in the business plan was not in the question.
okay. I'm now asking you. In your, is it now Emerine or?
It's Emerin speaking.
Okay. You have to be a little bit passive now, ne?
Okay.
Because you will be a bit lost now, but be a little bit passive now. Because the documents I will be referring to, how many devices do you have, Emerin?
I have 3 devices.
Good. You have a laptop there?
I have a laptop, I have a PC, and I have a phone.
Okay. I shared some documents on WhatsApp, ne?
Okay.
Was it you having issue with the business plan? I think you managed, eh?
I managed to do the quiz.
You managed to open the business plan.
I opened it on one device and I attempted the quiz.
Okay. So I want you to have on a different device, if you are able to use all your devices, on a different device, I want you to have the market research I shared on WhatsApp open.
Okay.
I want also you to have your business plan open. And I want you to have something called planning tool that I also shared on the WhatsApp. I want you also to have that open.
Okay.
Yeah. While you open those, you can listen. I will be explaining with the concentration with the is it Angelina or?
Yeah, Angelina.
Yeah, I will be explaining to Angelina because now we just cut her in the middle while she was doing something. Okay. But in the meantime, Marina, you can just open those documents.
Okay.
Because I will be referring you to those documents. Ne?
Okay, cool.
I could make you guys to compete, but like this time you are not able to come here at the same time. It was going to be a challenge. You just have to work together to compete with those other guys who already submitted their CH. Okay. Angelina,
yes,
I was
sir.
explaining, yeah, that part of the market research. Emerine can also go there if she has opened the documents I told them. So you can see there, productivity per worker. That means one worker working 100% of the time, they are able to make 80 units. Why is that important? It's very important because it's going to help you to know how many workers you will need in your company for that specific round. Are we together? So that's why under the business plan, employees startup, that's why you have 2 workers there hired for you, because the consultant was only expecting you to sell 148 units.
Yes.
Okay? Which means those 2 guys, if you go back to, I want you to go back to, yeah, it's fine. This is not going to work for you. But I just want you to understand this. The reason why the guy hired for you guys, for 2 guys there, is because he expected you to produce 148 units, which means if we subtract 80 units from 148, we will be left with something like 76 or 66,
Yes.
something like that. So it means those 2 guys, one of those 2 guys was going to work 100%, but one maybe was only going to work 90% of the time because they are not making 80 units. Do you understand the logic there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why they are saying here, that's why they are saying here in the news, they say hiring, there's no hiring cost, but there's a firing cost of 1,000. you go back to the MS Teams, you can see there is a firing cost of 1,000, which means in case those two guys that were hired for you, you will not need them. You can fire them, but you will have to compensate them 1,000. Each person you fire. And this 1,000 is not only applicable for the first round, it will be applicable for all the next round. Every time you want to fire somebody, because you cannot have so many workers that are not doing anything. Because the rounds, the demand will be, sometimes the demand is good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes you have to produce more units, sometimes you produce less units. When it's time to produce less units, maybe because the demand is bad, you are not forced to keep workers that are not doing anything, and you have to pay them. So you can fire them and just compensate them 1,000. I want you guys to go back to the market research document, still under human resources. And I want to explain. Okay, so you know now one worker is able only to make 8 units. Okay? If you want to make only 8 units, you can only hire 1 worker. If you want to make 300, you have to hire more than 2 workers, and so on. Which means the more units you want to make, the more workers you need, the more money you need to pay them. Okay? But also the more sales you're likely to make. Okay. So what is the next there? Is it salaries?
Yes.
Salary is how much?
9,000.
Which means somebody who will be hired and will be given a full-time status, you will have to pay them 9,000 in salaries alone. But there will be some non-wage personnel costs like maybe pension, housing allowance. It will be about 1,800. Excel will show you when you are busy with your planning tool. But it's very critical for you to know how much do you pay somebody who's given a full-time status. But there's another salary there. Oh, before that, it's hiring costs, which is 2,000.
Yes.
Okay? So now that one is already outdated by the news. In the next this period, the 2,000 is non-existent, because remember that market study was collected 6 months ago. And I explained that already. Okay. Then you have temporary workers. Cost for temporary workers?
25,000.
25,000. What does that mean? It means you will have a choice to make a person that is going to work for you either a full-time or a temporary worker. But they are paid differently. A full-time guy is paid 9,000, regardless of the work done. They can work 10%, but still getting paid 9,000. They can work 100, still getting paid 9,000. Like you guys, you go to work. You know, sometimes 1 month you were just lazy. You even put a fake sick leave. But you know, at the end of the day, end of the month, you will still get paid, isn't it? Because your contract says your salary is that at the end of the month. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
But with the casual workers, those temporary workers, you can also call them casual workers. The casual workers, they only get paid according to the hours they spend there at work. Are we together? That's why companies don't use casual workers for the whole month, because it will become so expensive. They maybe use them only a few hours in a day, a few hours in a month, and they get paid according to the work done. Are we together?
Yes,
So
sir.
now, in this case, a temporary worker is paid how much?
25,000.
25,000, but only if they make 80 units in 6 months' time. In other words, only if they work 100%. Are we together? If they only work 50% of the time, they get paid only 50% of the money. Okay? If they work only 5% of the time, they only get paid 5% of the money. which means the temporary workers are only advisable to make use of if they are working few hours. Okay, instead of maybe producing, maybe you want to produce, for example, 90 units. I give that example. Obviously, if you hire one full-time, will only make up to 8. You still have extra 10 units. Maybe that will be about maybe 10% or 20% of the time, okay, or 20% of workload. So now, instead of hiring another full-time to pay 9,000 for somebody only making 10 units, you can then look at an option of hiring a temporary worker and see if this guy is only working 10% of the time, what is 10% of 25,000? It's only 2,500. So obviously 2,500 will be cheaper than the 9,000 for a full time. So those are the cases when you have to make use of temporary workers. Okay, are we together?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Now the news is, I'm done explaining the news. I want us now to go to the planning tool. I will unshare now the news and I go to the planning tool. But we have to go through the planning tool together this time, first round, but second round also maybe, but third and fourth round, I would want you guys to do it by yourself. What I will do, I will just explain the news, and you do the planning, I give you the results. And again, in the fourth period, I explain the news, you do the planning on your own, you submit, I give you the results. Okay, but in the first round and the second round, I will go through with you step by step with the planning tool. It's going to take long, but we are going to finish fast so that we are done with this thing. Okay.
Okay.
Emerina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you better today?
Yes, I'm better.
Okay, it's a long journey to go still, but you have to bear with me. Okay, you can also now, you decide now, ne? You decide who should be filling in for the team. As you can all open, you can all fill in, but only one person must submit, ne?
Okay.
Okay, only one person must submit the planning tool. When we finish, I will open the planning tool, then you can submit. Okay, Emerina, I already explained to your colleague the planning tool, but I don't have to go through again. You just catch up as well in the process. What is very important is for you to pick up the relationship between the research document that I shared with you, your business plan, the news, and how they relate to this planning tool. So the relationship is that the decisions for period 1 are already made for you by the consultant. They are in the business plan, okay? But remember, you guys are the owners of this business. So you have the last say. If you are not happy with one of the decisions, you have to correct it, but you don't correct it in the business plan. You come and correct it on the planning tool. Okay, let's start now. This is now not me going to make decisions, it's you guys. And you will have to discuss fast so we don't take too much time. Okay. The first decision that you have to make is your retail shop. The reason why I say I give you to go through the business plan to complete the quiz is to force you to go through the business plan so that you know when you need information for the planning tool, at least you have an idea where is that information in the business plan. That was the reason of that assessment, to prepare you for the planning tool. Okay. I want you guys to decide on your retail shop price. How much price are you willing to charge for the surfboards that you want to sell for the next 6 months? Where do you have the clue? You get this clue from the business plan. under sales forecast. How much price there? Go to the planning tool, sales forecast, estimated expected average price. How much is it?
435.
That's what the advisor or consultant advised you to charge. And remember, that was based on the demand at that time. Angelina, you can bring in Marina there. How much was the demand?
The demand was 700 to 800.
But now how much is the demand? According to the current information in the news?
600 to 1,800.
Okay, so now if the consultant advised you guys to charge 430, are you still willing to stick to that price as owners of this company, or do you want to change the price a little bit? That one now you can now discuss now. No, I'm out. So you decide, do you want to increase, reduce, or keep the price the same? Whatever price you come up with is what you enter in that yellow field.
Okay.
Yeah, discuss quickly.
Hello?
Hi, Emerina.
Yes.
The average price is 435.
435, yeah.
Are we going to charge that one? Because remember last time the demand was 700 to 800.
80, yeah.
But now the demand is 600 to 1,800.
Where are you seeing that?
It's on the news.
Oh, okay.
Now, do we charge the average price of 435, or do we go up? I would advise that we charge the average price.
Because the demand is higher.
Excuse me?
Because the demand is higher now.
Yeah. And we remember, we are not tech, we are not high tech. We are the cost. Yeah, we are cost.
I think we should stick to the average price.
Okay.
Good. We decide to stick. You should be filling in also, ne?
Okay.
So when you decide 430, you just enter there 430, ne?
435.
Or you want 435. That's good.
Oh, yes.
That's good. Who's filling in for the team? Who's going to submit?
I can.
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Just make sure you update everything we are updating here.
Yes.
Okay. We are done now with the pricing. We go to the next section. So the next section is wholesale channel. Okay. In business terms, a company can have different distribution channels. Okay? They can have their own shop. They can distribute through agents or through wholesalers and what so on. At the moment, you guys only have one distribution channel, which is your retail shop. Okay. So even though here it says wholesale channel here, a wholesaler only comes in at some point. And when the wholesaler is in the market and willing to buy from you, you are informed through the news. Okay. The wholesaler is like a tender. You get an extra tender. In addition, you selling in your shop, you get an extra tender and you produce for that tender. Produce for your shop and also for the tender. Ne? But that tender is communicated in the news. If the news did not say anything about a wholesaler willing to buy how many units and willing to pay how much per unit, it means the wholesaler is not there.
Okay.
Okay. So in this first period, there is no wholesaler. Okay. So this section, we leave it out. It's not relevant now because we don't have a wholesaler in the market. Okay. Then we go to the next section. Marketing. Okay. In the news, we were informed that Yeah, the market is going up. Customers are coming to the island, but remember we have more other 5 competitors on the island. I explained this to Angelina. Emerine, you can just also help to make a decision there.
Okay.
Yeah, already in the business plan, you were given a budget. How much is it? You can go to your planning business plan, sales forecast, second last figures there.
Sales forecast, the 9,013. Which one?
9,013. Okay.
Yes.
You remember I told you the decisions are already there. Now you guys could now just say, okay, let's take the 9,013. We divide it. Some money we spend in print, some we spend in sales promotion. You could do that, but you could also say, oh, but this guy 9,000 may be too much. Why can't we make 7 or 6 or 5? Okay, but you could also say, but 9,000 is too little, but the market is going up. We expect to market to many people. Why can't we improve this maybe to 12 or 14 or 15,000? Okay. So the fact is that the decision is already there. That budget is for all the tools of marketing, print and sales promotion. You as a team now you decide where do you invest more money. Okay. But in general, when you are entering the market, you are advised to spend more money on print advertising tools because they tend to last longer, like billboards or maybe advertising in the newspapers or printing some pamphlets. So those are the print advertising, tools. The sales promotion is more of buy one get one for free, or maybe you have a DJ who is making noise in front of your shop. So you guys now, I want you to make 2 decisions. First one, you decide, do you want to stick to the budget or you want to change the budget? Okay? So when you make that decision, then you say again, how are you going to split the final budget that you come up with? How much money you spend in print, how much money you spend in sales promotion. I give you few minutes, 2 minutes to discuss and make decision and enter those decisions on the planning tool. It's your time.
Angeline?
I just want clarity here. So the business plan says it's 9,013. This was most for the 700 to the 800. But in the news, they said to be required to spend 15,000 euro.
That was for R&D.
Oh, it was not for, okay.
It's not for this section. Yeah, that one we will get it later.
Okay.
Yeah, for this one, it's still up to you to decide how much. But I'm just saying, this marketing budget that we're allocating here, I showed to Angelina the software that we use, Emerine. Okay. The software is going to collect now all the marketing budgets of you and the other 5 competitors. The biggest budget is going to get the highest awareness, which means if your budget, but now you don't know how much other guys invested. That's the nature of competition. So the biggest budget will come out with the highest awareness, which means highest awareness means your company is more known than any other company in the market. And you know what happens when you are the best known company in the market? You are likely to receive more customers.
Attract more customers.
Yeah, I just want to explain to you that before you make your decision. But it's now your time. Discuss whether you increase or you stick to the budget. When you decide, come up with a new budget. You can say maybe 12. You don't have to think of increase by percent. You just say, okay, 9,000, maybe you can make it 13, 14, 15, 16. If you come up with the final one, you split it. How much goes to print? How much goes to sales promotion? Do that quickly.
Okay.
Angeline?
Yes.
They are saying that the demand has increased, right? So if the demand has increased, it means people are already aware of us they are aware of the product in our company?
The demand has increased from, okay, in the previous period, it was 700 to 800. But now in this period, more people are going to the island. Not to say that they are aware of the market.
Oh, okay, so
yeah, in the news, they also said that we have to imagine the people were 800 on that 9,000. The maximum were 800 on the budget of 9,013. But now the maximum is 1,800 people coming to the island. So I think we have to invest more so our company can be known and then we can attract the customers.
Okay. Now, what do you think we should put there? I think maybe 15?
Yes, that's okay.
15, and then the split will then be, okay, 5,000 or maybe around 7,000 we can use for promotional items, the sales promotion.
Okay, and then the 8.
Okay, but then that is too close. That's too close of a split. Okay, how about 5 and 10? 10,000 on the print advertising and then the 5 on sales promotion.
Okay.
Because ideally we would want to print more because we want the flyers and whatever to go out. And then when the people come to our shop, then we'll have a sales promotion on it.
Yes, because it's not ideal. Okay, it doesn't make sense to say we are having sales promotion, but people are not aware of it. So
exactly.
So we can, yeah, I agree with you. 10,000 on printing and 5,000 on sales promotion.
Okay. So we've made a decision.
Thank you very much. 10,000 and 5,000.
5,000, yes.
Good. The next item is sales.
Employees.
Sales employees. Okay. Before we come to this, I want you guys to go to the research, information document.
Yes.
That will be under the first. This will be under the first. Yeah, should be under the first. The first slide. No, second slide for human resources.
Okay.
Okay, go. Okay. I want you to look for information regarding number of sales employees there. How many sales employees are recommended? Only one. So we are recommended only to make use of one sales person for the next 6 months.
Okay.
So I just want to show you how to get the information from the sources to complete your planning tool. That's what you have to know. You know that, no struggle with this thing. Okay. You just enter one day. When we are done with the first section, we move on to the second section.
Okay.
Okay.
The market.
Use the phone. Come here. Okay. So here we are going to, in the previous section, we decided on the price, on our marketing budget, and on our employees. Okay. Here, if you look at this section, there's this dotted line. So the market has two components. It has the shop components. What do we do in our shop? We estimate our sales.
Okay.
Okay. So you estimate your sales, which means you are given a time frame of 6 months. After 6 months, we are going to review our performance. So now we are saying, how many units do we expect to sell in the next 6 months? That's the sales forecast. That's what we do at the above of the dotted line. That's our shop. You must now use your imagination and say you have some shop manager who does that. Yeah? Who's responsible for that task. Payment ratio means we cannot have a business where we just need our customers just to pay cash. So we must have some credit terms also. Say, okay, you can buy on credit, but maybe you pay after, within a 6 months time frame, make sure your debts are settled and whatsoever. Okay? Payment ratio is actually how many of your customers will be expected to pay cash, or in other words, as much as you expect to make, for example, 100,000 in sales revenue. So how much of that 100,000 will be paid in cash? So this ratio is especially important, not only in the seminar, but also in general. It's very important because then you don't budget for the whole 100,000 that you expect make. You only budget for the cash that you expect to receive. Are we together? So you might expect to make 100,000 in sales revenue, but obviously some of those sales will be credit sales. So that's why when you budget for the next 6 months, you have to take out the money that is not going to be paid cash and only budget based on the cash sales. So that's why it's very important for that payment ratio. So the second part of the slide, okay, is the production budget. You see those two. First, you do your sales forecast. Your sales forecast will guide your production figures. In business, you don't just decide. Okay, the papers are in the car. Okay. With the production, you don't just produce anyhow. You produce based on your demand. Okay. If you say, okay, based on the number of customers coming to the market, I can only maybe sell 200. Okay. So obviously your production must be based on that. You don't just now go out and say, I will produce 400. But who's going to buy the other 200? Then you will have too much stock in the shop and you are not able to sell out. Okay. So are we together there? So let's first go to the shop. Okay. Retail shop is just a question of how many units do we expect to sell. Okay. So I will just, to make things not so complicated, I will just tell you that the market has changed. First, go to your business plan. Sales forecast again.
Okay.
Okay. Marina, are you there also?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
On the business plan.
Yeah, sales forecast.
So, yes.
Okay. So there's the hand sales in units. What number do you have there?
148.
148. So the logic of how we got that number, Excel took the expected total market volume there, 780, times your market share of 19%. Okay.
Oh.
That gives you 148, which means 780 is the total number of guys expected to come to the market to buy surfboards. And the consultant estimated 19% market share for your shop. And in units, your market share is 148. That 148 is out of 780. Means of the 780, 148 will be expected to your shop. Okay. Now I don't want you to go through these calculations and whatsoever, but if you wanted to do so, you could go to the business news and you pick the range there. From that range, you pick what you believe will be the number coming to the island, and you multiply with that with your market share. Then you will get the new number that will replace that 148. But what I usually do with my students, I will give them, because they are course leader, a range of between 200 to 250. And I say, pick a number between that range and that number should be your sales forecast. Okay, because that range, I actually did calculations and I see that increment in sales is about 60 to 80%, and that will be between 200 to 250. Okay, demand. Okay,
250 out of the 1,800.
Remember, you are not the only company there, and remember, remember, the person who did the research was not. They were not sure. They were not precise. It's an estimate. Don't just think of the big number. Also remember, they said if few people come, also 600 people could also come to the market.
Yeah.
Okay? As much as there's a big number of 1,800, that now will also depend on your overall marketing as an industry. You don't know how much other guys are investing in their marketing budget. The system is going to release this number of customers based on the overall performance of the other competitors. That's why, to be on the safe side, I will always give you between 200 to 250. And remember, you are only starting. You don't know really how the market is going to behave. So if you want to test the water, don't jump in the whole body. Yeah? You don't know how deep is the water, isn't it?
Yes.
So first you must go in a kafit, you know, then you go until the knee, then you see maybe the water is not too hot. Don't just jump in the bathtub if you don't know how hot is the water. Okay, so that's the reason. You must also take this lesson. One day you want to start a business, you want to start ordering from China. You don't just order the whole container and you don't know how people will react. First, you must test the water with a small stock. Then if you see customers are willing to buy, then you can start increasing gradually your sales. Okay, so now I've given you enough explanation. I will give you now time to fill in this shop. Decide on between 200 to 250. You can decide now which one do you want. And obviously also complete the payment ratio here, which is according to the market study. According to the research, is 80%. Okay. It will not change, and this payment ratio will also not change until the new says it's going to change maybe from 80 to 85 or to 70. No.
Okay.
Okay. Make a decision quickly for your sales.
Yes.
So I was thinking we take the 600. We work with the average of the two figures that is given in the news. The 600 plus 1,800, which is 2,400. And then we make use of the average, which is 1,200.
You must now times that 1,200 with the market share.
Yes, 1,200, and then we multiply it with the 19%, which is given there. Then we have 228 units.
That's
228.
Good. You were very fast today. Very fast. That's how you're supposed to do it, actually. That's why I gave you a range between 200 to 250. I know it will always fall there.
Okay, so we go with 228.
Yes, 228 units.
That's good.
Okay.
That's what you expect to sell. Okay, when you enter the 228, you see what happens under the production section there. I mean, not production, but on the below the dotted line.
Yes.
You see the red appears there.
Yes.
That's now the relationship I was explaining between your sales forecast, the sales person in the shop, and the guy who's at the factory. These guys must always communicate because they need each other. The salesperson must give a clue of how many units are needed in the shop. And the guy in the production must decide how many units to produce, obviously based on what is required in the shop. Okay, even though maybe this guy now in the production, he can now say, okay, but you only need 228. I will make for you maybe extra 10 or 15 in case if you sell out. Okay, or you decide just to say, I will just make what you want, because if those 15 units end up not being sold, it's going to be my expense, not yours. Okay, are we together?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to explain here is that this section here, amount produced, I'm not going to explain this stock inventory here because I might confuse you, but the stock inventory here is only relevant from the second round. Why? Because remember when we say 228 here, it's not a guarantee that we will sell these units. We might only sell 180 or 170, depending on how many people actually ending up coming to our shop. You still have to remember this is just a sales forecast. There's no guarantee. More people can come and buy everything, but few people can also come and some units will be left in the shop at the end of the 6th month. Okay. Now, in case now, if anything is left of the 228, if anything at the end of the 6 months is left, okay, that's now what we are going to update in the second round under this section, which means we are updating the stock that was carried over from the previous period. But for now, this is the first period we are producing for the first time. There's no stock carried over from the previous period. Are we together?
Okay.
Okay, that's why we are leaving it out. So for now, we just come to the next one, which is the amount produced in current period. This is where you budget your production volumes. Up here, you budget your sales volumes. Here, you budget your production volumes. The difference is only that if the guy in the production here, scheduling department, decides to produce more than what the shops needs, what you need in your shop and what you are going to produce might be different. Okay? For example, the red here is just to show you that, Chef, there's a report coming from the salesperson of how many units they need. So we must now respond to this report. Okay? When you have a red, it's a problem. You must fix the red before you move on. Okay? The red is showing you you are not doing the right thing. Okay? So the guy wants 228 in the shop. If I schedule to produce 228, the red is gone. Because I'm planning to produce 228 for who? For the shop. If I produce for these guys in the shop 228, I'm done. If they sell out, it's not my problem. It's what they requested, isn't it? As a person dealing with the production, I'm not going to be held accountable for low sales because it's the salesperson's responsibility to make sure they do a proper sales forecast. That's why these guys, they must communicate all the time. Okay, but this guy can also say, okay, maybe this guy maybe underestimated the market. Let me produce maybe 250. If he produces 250, the sales guy will not take the extra that were produced. He will only take what he requested. What will happen to the other units? They will have to be shipped to the storage facility. But what is the disadvantage of a storage facility? It's not for free. It's not ours. You see, when we are going to Okahanja, when we are going to Okahanja, there are those orange containers there by the highway there. Store and go. If you want to store something there, you pay for it. It's the same concept here. Producing a lot means creating expenses for the company. Okay? So if you go to the market research, just quickly go there so I show you. Okay?
Market research, where now?
Should be
on the business plan.
No, on the research paper that I showed you.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know which slide says storage cost, purchasing and admin. Did you locate it? How many slides do you have on that document? Is it 4 or 5?
5.
5. Go to the second last. What is the title there?
Production and office equipment.
Purchasing?
Purchasing and logistics.
Yes, that one. So you have there the price of fiber, the price of hard form, the storage cost for finished goods, and the storage cost for raw materials. How much is the storage cost for finished goods?
$10.
10.
Yeah,
Okay, 10 euros.
Yes.
10 euro. Yeah.
So, okay, now come back to your planning tool. Now you know the storage cost for a finished surfboard is 10 euros. If this guy decides to produce extra 22, we have created an expense of 220 euros. It's not Namibian dollars, it's 220 euros. It's a lot of money. Okay? That's why you guys now decide, not only now, also in the future. You have to understand the concept. We can produce more, but it's a little bit costly. Okay? But if the guy sells out 228, this 22 can also be sold and we can make extra money. But in the first period, do you think it's advisable when you don't know how the market reacts to produce extra?
Not really.
Not really. So maybe you just produce the 228 units. Okay. But when you go with the other rounds, you might get into a situation where you don't know what you are doing. Maybe here you just put 200. If you put 200, it means it's not enough because the guy requested 280. The system will still show you there. Oh, you are still in short of 28 units. If you see this kind of thing, then you must know you are not planning to produce enough. So you have now to go where you produce, which is amount produced in current period, and produce the extra number in the red. Then we say 200 plus 228. I mean 228, it gives us 228. Okay, then we are out of the red. Okay, so in the meantime, you can see here in the shop, you now know how much money you expect to make for the next 6 months. We expect to make 99,180 euros. Yeah, but not all of this money will come in cash. Only how many percent?
80%.
Only 80%. Okay. So I want you guys to go back to your market research document again. I want to explain something.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know now under which. Look under the first slide. Do you have? I think number 7. What do you have in number 7? The first slide.
Marketing cost.
Marketing.
Okay. Marketing cost. What are they saying? 5 to 10%, but more than 10% in the first period. So that's your guidance on how you should be investing in marketing. That's just a rule for you not to invest too little or too much. They say you must always invest anything between 5 to 10% of your sales, but now in the first period you must invest more than 10% because you just entered the market. It makes sense. So what is that now 5%, 5 to 10%? It means now that we know our sales forecast is 99,180, we must now choose any percentage that we want to invest in marketing. But remember, we already did that. So I just want you now to go back just quickly to your planning tool. I don't want you to be now working out this manually, but I'm just showing you the logic. I want you now to go to your planning tool and come back to sales quickly before we proceed to production. Okay, you see there 15? How many percent there?
15%.
15%, which means you guys are fine. You are complying with that rule. You are not spending less than 10% this time. Okay, but in the future, for you to see you are not over investing, you just come here and see. If it's 10%, 8%, maybe it's fine. But if you see sometimes the competitors are really investing too much and you cannot invest less than 10, it's also fine. But I'm just showing you here, anything above 10, it could be a waste of money. Okay? But obviously you cannot control the competitors and say, hey, guys, you are spending too much, low down. No, you can't do that. So the best thing you can do is just also to go above 10%, even though the recommended percentage of sale to be invested in marketing is 10%. Okay, so what that means, 15,000 is 15% of 99,180. You understand there?
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Let's go now to our planning tool. We're done now with market. Okay, but you can keep the 10 euros there, even though you are not keeping anything. You are not going to be charged if nothing is kept in storage. But if you keep the 10 euros there, when you make a mistake, at least the system will be able to allocate that expense to your expenses, so that you don't get overdraft in case if you don't have money to cover that expense. Okay. I want now you to go to the production. Okay. Are we there?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. Before we answer this one, I want you again to switch back to your market research document, production lines and office equipment.
Okay, yes.
It's demanding, eh? Okay. I want you guys to go through those figures there. You have probably the price of the production line.
7,500.
I want you to know those figures. You must know those figures. You must make them your friends. Okay. The price is 7,005. Then you have productivity. So how much?
180.
That means one production line. One production line is able to produce up to a maximum of 180 in 6 months' time, in one period. Are you together? In one period, one machine, a production is a nickname for machine, production machine. One machine is able to produce a maximum of 180. Now students will say, okay, if my worker can make 80 and my machine can make 180, that will be 180 plus 80. But that's not right. I'm sorry for these notifications here. It's my fellow students here. Okay. So the machine is able to make 180 being operated by the workers. Okay? Which means the worker cannot make the 80 alone, only his own. He's making the 80 using the machine. Okay? So it means to make your machines work at full capacity, you need more than 2 workers, because 2 workers can only make a total of how many?
80.
2 workers.
2 workers can make 160.
Yeah, you see, even with 2 workers, they are not enough to make the machine work full capacity, because machine can make up to 180. So to make your machines work full capacity, you need 2 guys working full time and somebody working some percentage of the time to make up the 20 units. Excel will always show you this percentage that is worked. Okay, so then you have a depreciation of production lines is how much?
750.
Do you understand what does depreciation means?
Yes.
Okay, you buy your phone today. iPhone maybe is worth today 15,000. You use for 1 year, you will not be able to sell for 15 again. Even though black people, we do that kind of thing most. You buy the car for 50, you want to sell next year for 60. Okay? But you understand. So the machines will be depreciating every 6 months time. You have to report that depreciation in your books. Then you have maintenance, other fixed costs, and maintenance is 500 per machine. Okay, the fixed costs are 500. That I call them a license fee. It's a license to utilize those machines. So you just need one license. You only pay for that one license. Every 6 months you pay that 500. Also, every 6 months you pay that 500 for maintenance. You have to incur depreciation after every 6 months. Okay, but you don't have to buy every 6 months a new machine. Okay, so the machine you bought will be enough, unless if you want to produce more than 180, then you have to buy a second machine and what so on. Okay, you see the logic there. Okay, what else do we have on that slide that I did not explain?
Variable costs.
Okay, variable costs. That's the water and electricity plus transportation for your surfboards. To finish one surfboard, it's gonna cost you in transportation, water and electricity. It's gonna cost you 20 euros per unit, especially in water and electricity. Okay, so the more you produce, the more water and electricity you use, the more you pay. Okay, that's why it's going to vary. That cost is going to vary. Okay, depending on how much you produce. Okay, now let's come back to our planning tool now.
Okay.
Okay, but before we come to the planning tool, quickly go to the business plan, page 3, which is your production. I want to explain something there. Okay, under that slide, there's a summary there, how many units you are planning to produce, how many pieces of fiber in the hard form you need to order, how much are the prices of fiber, how much is the price of hard form, your production overhead are also indicated there. Then you have that section that explains the capacities, capacity of production line and what so on. Can you see that section?
Yes.
Okay? There's like a section there that says the price of the machine is 7,500. Hence number of PL. How many machines were bought for us at startup?
At startup?
Yeah, just analyze that part.
1.
Yes. Okay. So you can see there, it says there, investments at startup. You see that? Purchase of production line, 7,500. Purchase of office equipment, 5,000. So number of PL means production line is 1. So, and I told you which phase was startup phase. Is the phase that was being dealt with by the consultant. Okay, so it means the consultant did not only hire for us workers, but he also bought for us a machine. So it means at the moment as I speak, all the competitors, they were bought each one machine. Okay, now remember, each machine, for every 6 rounds, each machine carries some expenses. And what are those expenses? Depreciation, fixed cost, maintenance. Okay, and each of that machine has its own capacity. I want you guys now to update the expenses of the machine the consultant bought for us, okay? So that we can see whether we need to buy more or that machine is maybe enough. Okay, do that. To update depreciation. Okay. This is what we are going to incur for the machines we have. Okay. And what is the capacity of one machine again?
180. Huh?
100. Okay, you must also update the total machinery capacity there. What happened? When you enter the information, you must always click in the blue or gray areas there so the cells can activate. Did we get a red?
Yes.
What do you think our production line load is showing red? I told you when you see red is danger. What do you think we are in red?
We are in red because it's all the production capacity is 180 and our planned production number is 228.
Oh, you just hit it on the head. That's good. The moment you understand these things now, the rest of the periods will just go shoop, shoop, just like that. Okay. That's good. What do we do now? Are we going to go back and reduce our production and reduce our sales forecast and only sell less, or are we going to buy another machine? We only have two choices.
We are going to buy another machine.
We are going to buy another machine. And the reason could be, if you go back, maybe in the second round, maybe the demand will even be more. We cannot just limit our capacity by avoiding to invest. I've seen a lot of business doing this. Business is growing, but capacity-wise, they are limited. Maybe they have only a small shop space. They know their customers, they are just queuing there. But instead of going to look for a bigger venue to improve capacity, they just try to avoid spending money. It's not always just about avoiding to spend money. Are we together? So sometimes you have to think of the future as well. To say, okay, I might buy this machine. It might not going to produce a lot now, because if I buy this machine now, the second machine I'm going to buy is only going to produce about 48. So, okay, it might only make 48 now, but what about in the next season? Maybe the demand will even be good. Okay?
Yes.
So maybe even in the future, I will even be able to make it work 100%. So let's now buy the machine. How do you buy the machine? This is also for the future now. You go to the investments in production lines in current period. So that's just a question to say, are you going to invest in a new production line now? Your answer then is yes. You can see the euro sign there is giving you a clue. Somebody will say, yeah, we want one machine. But no, look at the clue there. The clue is asking for money. How much is the machine?
The machine is 7,500. Yeah.
Remember what you are doing actually here. You are budgeting for your expenses, man. Okay? Budgeting for the expenses for who? For the software that I showed you to execute your budget. Okay? So you have to budget 7,500 for the machine. But remember, when you buy the machine, it also comes with its own costs, own depreciation, own maintenance. But the fixed costs, like I said, it's a license fee. Doesn't matter whether you have one machine or you have 10, they are operating on one license. Together. Okay, so the depreciation will also change. It's now going to be times 2. It will be 1,500. The fixed cost will remain the same, but the maintenance, the engineer, the technician who's going to maintain, the machines must be maintained after every 6 months. Okay? So the guy's charging us 500 euros per machine. The more machines you have, the more you pay in maintenance. Okay, so this one will also double 1,000. Okay, and now that we have 2 machines, one capacity is 180. The capacity of 2 machines will be now how much?
360.
360. Very good. Very easy. Okay. So now you see here, production line load is only 63%. Okay? That's how effective are we using our machines. In business, you have to think of those 2 terms: effectiveness efficiency. They are very important. If you are not efficient with your resources, you will not get the whole benefit out of it. If the government is buying a lot of cars and they park in the government garage, they are wasting money because they are not using the resources efficiently and effectively. Okay, so for you must also watch out how your machines are working. That's now when you have time, you go back to your sales forecast and say, okay, this might be try to increase maybe by 15 so we can make our machines work more, a little bit more, and so on. But I don't want you to do that at this point. But I'm just explaining so you know how you can improve the efficiency of your machines. You could, for example, go to here and say, okay, maybe we must change our forecast to 250, also our production, then the utilization of the machine will also go up. Okay. The reason why it's only working 63 here is because total capacity is 360, but we are only producing 228. Okay. There is the way to increase now this is obviously to produce a little bit more. Okay, because we cannot reduce the capacity of the machine because that's it. It's already determined. In general, when your machines work more, it means they are utilized very well, they are efficient, the return on investment is also then good. That's why in the future, you must try to make your machines work more. So that if you make your machines work more, your production cost will actually go a little bit down. Okay? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we are done with the machines. We go to there. Now we know we have enough machines, but one more, we need to determine whether we have or how many workers we need to carry our production. Because remember, I told you have 3 cost centers: development, production, and selling. All this, we will incur costs here. Okay. So now we must check now how many workers we actually need to produce what we want. So we want to produce 228. How many units can one worker produce?
80.
80. If you had your phone, you could do a logical thing and say, if one guy can make 80, how many guys do I need to make 228? So you just divide more. But you don't have to do that manually. You just have to update the system here. Expected capacity per worker. See there? Expected capacity per worker is
80.
80. The moment you do that, you can see in the white here, Excel already updated for you the answers there. Okay? Excel is telling us we need 2.9 workers. Now somebody's now saying, hey, how can these lawyers and their Zoom this? How can we have then a 2.9 workers? Remember, I said these numbers of workers are represented in terms of time worked. Yeah?
Yes.
One represent 1 person working 100%. And if somebody is working 100%, they are making how many units?
80.
80. So if you look at this number in a logical manner, you can see it's a 2.9. So what if I take away the 2 guys? The 2 guys already showing their obvious full time. Why am I saying obvious full time? Because if somebody is working 100% and you give them a temporary worker status, how much do you pay? Who can remember?
The temporary workers.
Yeah, if they work 100%, how much do we pay them?
25,000.
That's good. But the full time we only pay them
9,000.
You see now there. So when you get this required number of workers here, the number before the comma is your obvious full time. I'm saying obvious because it's obvious to give it to appoint those 2 people as full time because you only then pay for each of them 9,000. But if you decide to make them temporary workers, you will have to fork out 25,000 per person, which is not a logical decision anyways. Okay? If we take those two obvious full-time guys, how many or how much capacity is left to be worked? 2.9 we take away 2. How much is left?
0.9.
0.9. In a smart language, we will say 90%.
Yes.
So which means even after we take out our obvious full-time guys,
yeah, please pick up the
we need somebody again to work for us 90% of the time. So now we decide which status do we give this person going to work 90% of the time. Remember, I told you a full-time can work 1%, 10 up to 100. Okay. Also, a temporary worker can work 1, 2 up to 100. The difference is only the payments.
Yes.
So now we know we need 2 obvious full-time workers, but we need somebody again to work for us to do the 90%. If I have to extend it further, we can say 2 guys can make 169. Okay. If we say now we want to make 228, 228 minus 160 equals to 68. Okay. So it means somebody who's going to make those 68 is translated into 90% of the workload. So we have to decide who is cheaper to do this 90% of the work. Is it full-time or temporary workers? A full-time, a full-time doing 90% still getting paid 9,000. But what is the 90% of the 25,000? It's a little bit more.
22,500.
Yes, now you choose. Do you want to pay 9,000 or 22,000?
Full-time one.
Full-time one. Because now we know we are going to have in total how many full-time?
3.
3.
We want to
now
pay
because
9,000.
we know, we indicate here now to say we need 3 full-time. We are not hiring at this point. We are just giving a report to which department is responsible for hiring?
Human resources.
Human resources. But as production managers, it's our duty to determine the capacity requirement in terms of workers in our department, isn't it? We are the one that says, hey, look, in our department, these guys are not enough. We need 1 more. Eh? So what we did here is just to send a report to human resources and say, guys, for the next 6 months, we will need 3 full-time. But you see, how are your workers working? Your workload is 95%. Why is it 95? Because the third guy is not working 100%.
Yes.
Okay. So are we together now?
Yes.
Okay. But we could also say, we could be stubborn and say, okay, we just need our 2 obvious full-time. The 90% goes to the temporary worker. You see what will happen? Temporary worker, if necessary, that's 90%. Don't worry with the rounding there, 0.85. Just accept. The 90% will go to the temporary worker, and the system will charge us that 22,000. That's why when you are going to plan on your own, you have to make sure that if you have anything going to the temporary worker here, you have to verify how much is it gonna cost you in terms of payments. Are we together? Okay. So all the time you just sort out your full-time. And guys, you don't put a 2.9 here. No. You only indicate 1, which is a full-time. So that's why even the guy who is working 90%, he will indicate it under number of production workers as a 1, because a 1 means a full-time. Are we together? Okay, that's why we say now, there.
Just 3 or we put 2.9.
It should be 3, because a full-time is indicated with a 1. Even if they are not working 100%. They are indicated with a 1. Okay, because we pay them 100% salary regardless. Are we together? Okay. Then you can see, because we opted to give 90% to the full-time, you can see the temporary workers, we are not going to make any of them. Okay, so of interest here is to see how our machines and our workers are working. 63% for the first round is fine. Okay, but in the future, you should look at 70, 80%. Then it means you also have an opportunity to cut down on the costs. This were the challenging section. The rest we'll just go through quickly. Okay, now we know we have enough machines. We have indicated enough workers that we need. It's up to now to personnel to make sure they have these people for us. They are the one. Their departments are the ones to incur hiring costs and all those things. It's not us in production. Let's go to purchasing. Okay, this is the easiest section. This is where now you buy raw materials. Okay, and I'm going to explain again here to say to produce one surfboard. This I explained this in one of those videos of the idea. To produce one surfboard, you need one piece of fiber and one piece of hard foam. Okay, one piece of raw materials makes one surfboard. Are we together? Now, if we want to produce 2 surfboards, how many pieces of fiber we must order?
2 to 8.
2 to 8. So I just want to explain to say, in the simulation, obviously in reality, you might buy extra because maybe one gets spoiled here. Maybe one employee stole the raw materials. One maybe is cut not nice. But in the simulation, those scenarios are ruled out. You just buy enough. You buy enough, it's enough for production. There is no room for those scenarios of error or theft or what so. But in reality, obviously, you will have to take those into consideration. Okay. So when you come here, you check here in the first white cell in the corner here. It will always remind you of how many units you want to produce so that you make a right decision. Buy each of the materials you buy the same. Then you say now, if you read here, it's fine, you will get it. Expected purchasing price per unit. I showed you on the market research document how much was the price for fiber. You can quickly go and check. You cannot remember.
$60.
60 euros, like dollars.
Okay,
you are in Europe. Yeah. Today you are in Europe. Okay. For hard foam. For hard foam is how much?
15 euros.
Euros. And for water and electricity?
15 euros.
For water and electricity?
15.
For?
How much is variable overhead?
Variable.
Somebody asked me what that 20 meant, but I explained.
Yeah, 20.
20. It's good. So you can see in the white here, this is how much money you are going to spend on the raw materials. 13,680 for fiber, 3,420 for hard foam, and for water and electricity and the transportation costs, 4,560. Okay. Actually, initially I was supposed to show you your balance sheet at startup so that you knew how much money you had. You had about 55 plus now those expected sales. It might be enough money to pay all of this. Okay, now next section, initial input on stock. Because we always buy enough for the production line. Every time we buy for the production line, the material is going to the production line and it's used up. At the beginning of the next period, are we going to have stock of raw materials?
No.
No. That's why the initial input here, it will always be 0 as long as we buy just enough for the production line. But if we could have bought 300 here, then in the next period, we will indicate that we have some units in stock, which is going to be 72, because we bought too many units than we needed. Okay, but what is the disadvantage of buying extra stock? You are tying up your cash in stock that you will keep for 6 months. But you could have made use of this money to improve the business, maybe somewhere to market and what so on. Okay, so buying more in business terms now, buying too much stock, it takes away a lot of cash and it will make a dent on your cash flow. Because remember, you need money quickly to pay your workers, to pay your rent, and so you can't afford to tie money in stock when you still have a chance to buy in the future stock, isn't it? And if you also buy too much, you don't know what if they will have discount maybe after 6 months. Okay? So those are the things you take into consideration in the reality. Okay, there's liquid stock. Liquid stock, you don't have to spend too much money, obviously, in stock. But like those in reality now, like those guys who order tires from China, they're selling tires, for example, that's not a liquid stock. Obviously, it makes sense to tie up money there, because you don't want to ship a container every second month from China. So you have to make sure you ship once a lot of stock. Even if it means all that stock is not going straight to the shop, you must have a storage facility somewhere where you can keep that. Because at the end of the day, you have to weigh now between the storage cost and the shipment cost when you ship many times. And the lead times and all those things. Those are the things you have to take into consideration when it comes now to reality. But in the simulation setting, I will advise you just always to buy what you need. Okay, I can proceed now. Storage cost per unit for fiber is €4. You can just also put it there, but you know, in the total cost here, you don't pay anything because you are not keeping anything in storage. But if I could have bought 300 here, you can already see. If I had 300 there, you can already see I will incur some expenses. So. Okay, then you have a plant number. Where am I getting the €4 again? It's from that
the market research.
Yes, from that market research, that purchasing and logistics. Go with your back, please. I'm teaching here. Okay. Then we have employees in purchasing. Go to your human resources section under market research. You will get how many workers you are advised to make use of in the purchasing and admin department.
0.5.
That's good. And you don't change. It will remain the same. In this department and sales department, you don't hire or fire. You remain with 0.5 and 1. Only the firing and hiring will be taking place in the production, because there sometimes we produce too much, sometimes we produce too little, sometimes we need more, sometimes we need few workers. Okay, then we are done. Go to personnel. Okay, we are almost done. Don't worry, I will give you a break when I finish. While I prepare the results, you can rest. I give you some few minutes to rest, and I present the results again. Then we are done with the first round. Okay. Are we all there?
Yeah.
Are you there? Okay. Here.
Yes, we're here.
The first thing I want you to check here is your personnel opening balance. You see those figures? Are those figures familiar?
Yes.
When I told you, you don't hire in administration or in purchasing department, you don't hire in sales department, you don't hire in production department. Who hires?
The human resource.
Human resource. But for us as those individual departments, our responsibility is just to identify employees' needs so that we can communicate them to
the human resource.
Yeah. So this is what we did here. We identified our need in admin, in sales, and in production. That's why, especially in production, if you make a mistake with your number of production workers, that means the human resources will also hire for you either too many workers or too few workers. Okay, then the company will be penalized to make use of temporary workers. If workers were not well budgeted, if you, for example, need 3 guys and you only said you need 2, the system will pick a temporary worker and let the temporary worker do the job and charge you that 25,000. That's why it's very, very crucial to make sure that always you have figured out your workers very properly. Okay, so now we know how many workers we need, but before we come to the hiring and firing, I will explain now. You can fill in the salaries there. The salaries of full-time workers are already given. The market research is 9,000. You can see there for admin, we are only paying half. If you check in the white there, we are only paying half because the guy is only working 50% of the time. We also just pay them for 50% of the time. Okay, the salesperson gets paid in full. Also, the 3 guys in production. You can see why your bosses are always, especially in the private sector, the bosses are always on our neck. Hey, you must perform. You know why? Because all the budgets we have been dealing with now here, the biggest budget is the payroll budget. For me, there 49,005 euros. You can see in the corner here. Okay, so you have salaries and you have these non-wage personnel costs. Those are now those medical aids, employee tax, those things. Only people who work in human resources do understand about this non-wage personnel costs. Oh, companies to pay for your pension and all those things. So the salary, the 9,000 is the one that you take home. Okay. Now we know our payroll budget. We can't do anything about it. Those are the workers we need. If we want to lower this budget, it means we have to get rid of some guys. That means also we have to go back and adjust our production, adjust our sales forecast, and so on. Okay. And then we come to hiring part. This hiring part. You must know you have this column here for admin, this column for sales, this column for production. When you are hiring or firing, make sure you're doing it in the right department. You cannot have more workers in production than you are firing in sales. It's not going to make a difference. It's even just going to bring more problem. Okay? Make sure when you are hiring or firing, you do it in the right department. Okay? When you have a hiring cost, you always indicate it here. We're supposed to be putting here 2,000, but the news informed us that there is no now hiring costs. Okay? That was good news for us. But they said there was a firing cost of how much?
1,000.
1,000. Very good. Oh, you were listening so very well. So you can see here, layoff costs per employee, 1,000. Hiring cost per employee, now it's 0. Okay? Number of new employees. If you need to hire, this is where you indicate that you need a new number of employees. But you have to be careful in which department you need that person. Like I said, you will only be hiring and firing in production. You will only be using this last column. Okay. I'm still going to explain whether you have to hire this time or not. Okay. Salaries for temporary workers. How much do we pay temporary workers working 100%?
25,000.
You must always keep it there, so that when you are making use of a temporary worker, you don't have to to go to the calculator and do the calculations. No, you just come to this white cost to incur for temporary workers. If we could have, let me demonstrate. If we could have said, okay, we need 2 obvious full-time, we stick to our 2 obvious, 90% will go to the temporary workers first. You see how much we were going to pay? 21,000. But we cannot. Obviously, our bill here could have gone down, but still, the difference is very big. If you take 21,250 plus 38, it will be more than 49,000 that was there. It's a total error. Okay? So the reason why this money here is not part of our payroll budget, because those temporary workers, we don't pay payroll tax for these workers. We don't give them a pay slip. It's APS. If you go to APS and APS gives you their workers to work for you, you don't pay those workers a pay slip. They get a pay slip from APS, isn't it?
Yes.
You just pay money straight to APS. That's why those are not human resources actually related. They are not part of the payroll tax. They are just an expense. Okay? Are we together?
Okay.
That's why they are not referring it to here as a salary here. They just say cost to incur for temporary workers. But we don't want to pay this 25,000. We go back, we say, we rather go for an additional full-time, even if they don't work 100%, they are still cheaper anyways. Okay? So you can see there, now the cost is 0. If you make a mistake there, some students will not listen. They make a mistake, they just even put 1 here because they don't know what they are doing. They transfer the information. I don't change the information you transfer. They come here, you see already how much you're going to cost your company. Even when you're supposed to make a profit, you know, you end up making a loss. That's why we have those 3 cost centers. Even in your business, in reality, that's how you must demarcate your costs, because you know, if the business is not making a profit, you know which center is the problem. Is it the developmental department? Is it the admin? Is it the production? Is it the sale? Where are we spending too much money? That's why you have to do that. But this sake, put back 3 here, then we are done with the costs. Now is the decision whether we are going to hire or fire. How do you know you are going to fire or hire? Okay. These 3 here, we have here as opening balance. These workers here, we don't have. Okay. We do what? We need them. There's a difference between what we need and what we have, isn't it? So how do we know how many workers do we have? Where do we go?
On the business plan.
On the business plan. You go to the business plan, you go and verify. I told you already, workers were hired for you at?
Startup.
At startup. You go now and check. How many workers were hired at startup for each department? And now and come and compare. If those guys were hired, are they still enough for the next 6 months? Okay? You must go and compare now.
We need to hire in production.
Why?
Because at startup we had 0.5 in admin, 1 in sales that is here, and then in production we only had 2.
Good. 2 guys were hired. They are not enough, because for the next 6 months where we are going, we need 3, but we only have
2.
So we have now to add
1.
Production.
Are you all?
Okay. Where do you do that? Number of new employees?
1.
That's good. Okay. If the 2,000 was still there, you can see in the white here, the system was going to charge you for hiring that person. Okay? Because those human resources consultants were going to charge you that money. But because they said in the news, you could do without those hiring mechanisms, it's for free now this time. Okay. We are done. Know when to hire. In the next period, your workers that you will have, they will not be reflected in the business plan. They will be reflected in the report that I will give you. Okay. I will explain to you where do you go in the report to see how many workers you have. The workers you have in the report will always be the workers you close with this period. This period, you are going to close it with 3 workers. Those will be your opening workers in the second round. Okay. If you then will need more than 3 workers, it's only time then you will need to hire again. Okay. If the market is bad and you determine you will only need 2 workers, then you will have to fire 1 again. That's how it works.
So where does that 2,000 come from, which is populated in sum?
Which one?
Go back to the personnel.
I'm there.
Oh, okay, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. It's fine.
This one that was here. If you go to your market research under human resources, you can see there the hiring cost is how much?
Not that one. It was under that sum, the grade out.
Oh, that one will come there if I put a hiring cost there.
Oh, okay.
The trick here is the figures in the white. Those are the money that you have to pay. Those are your summarized expenses. Okay. Remember, if I hire two here, it becomes 4. You know, if I hire 10, 2 times 10. Okay. But I don't have to be changing here to show to make 4,000 here because here it says hiring per employee.
Okay.
That's good. This one is not there. Okay. Let's go to investments. This one is a walk in the park. Depreciation for office equipment. You go to your market research there, fill in this section. How much are we paying for depreciation? How much are we incurring for depreciation for office equipment? Go to your market research information.
Depreciation.
For office,
500
machines.
500 euros. 500 euros depreciation of office equipment.
That's good. Okay. Rental cost is in your business plan. On page 4, human resources, other expenses down there. You will see the leasing expenses there. How much is it?
Which one?
Go to your business plan, I think page 4, under human resources and premises.
Or 4,500.
Okay, that's the property you are renting. Okay, the rent will be the same, it will not be changed. Then you have administration costs, that's 1,000. I just want you to add 1% of sales turnover there. So the administration cost is just money that you have to maintain your administration. Buying papers, toners, paying your Wi-Fi, your telephone bill, all those small things. But you know, when you sell more, you use more toners and use more papers to print the receipts and all that. That's why a 1% of sale is levied here, so that we don't run out of money. The more we sell, the more papers we use. So we must also pay now 1% of sales. Okay. Depreciation of TSE. This is a startup and expansion. Actually, when you get your company registered, 1,000 was charged. You know, when these consultants here in Namibia, they will charge us to register our companies and get our paperwork done. A consultant on the island also did that for you, and he was paid 1,000. Okay, that 1,000 now is divided over 16 periods, because your name is going to last. Your brand, your trade name is valid until for 16 periods. Then you could renew it. So, but we are only going until period 4. So actually, here is going to be 63. So 1,000 divided by 16 periods gives you 62.5. You round off, gives you 63 there. It's not going to change. It's going to remain the same. Okay. Remember, when you are going to do the second round, you don't have to start over again with a new planning tool. You just come and update the decision that needs to be updated. The rest of like this rent and what, they will not be changed, because they will still be the same rent and what so on, unless if the news for period 2 says this information is changing and so on. Okay. Extraordinary income, 0. This is money that is coming from not selling surfboards. Maybe your company wins an award, cash prize. You can record this company's money, but it's not coming from sales. You can record it as extraordinary income. Okay. Extraordinary expenses. This will be expenses that are not planned for. You know, most of the expenses, marketing, buying materials, paying rent, they are budgeted here. But there will be expenses like, for example, if you get a fine, or maybe your company is destroyed and you have to pay maybe insurance, maybe you are not covered, you have to pay for recoveries. You know, those are extraordinary expenses. But they will also be communicated in the news. Okay. At the moment, they are also 0, unless the news says there's an extraordinary expense or extraordinary income. Yeah, then you can come and put it there. If you get a fine, or maybe there is a storm, something is destroyed and you have to fix it, you put those expenses here. Okay, they will be specific. They will be specified. You just take that figure in. So it's just to show you that when you run a business, you must have an emergency fund. If something happens, then because not every expense that will face your business will be a planned one. There will be just some. It's just to say you must be aware of this kind of extraordinary expenses accounts in your business. R&D investments, like I said, this is what determines the quality of your surfboards. The more you invest, the high quality you get. But don't now go in the war of investing too much, because you guys are cost leaders. You must manage your business in such a way that you are cost leader, because the software is going to analyze your decisions and give you a rating, whether you are sticking to your strategic plan or you are deviating from it. Okay, so in your business plan on page 4, human resources, you have an R&D budget there. So the minimum allowed is 15. So you must go check now how much was the consultant allocated for you. You can agree with the consultant, or you can change, you can reduce if you want, or you can increase. It's really up to you. Okay, but don't waste too much money trying to create expensive stuff when you are just charging peanuts. Okay. Actually, for you guys, cost leaders, your price is not allowed to exceed 500, because the price range, according to the market study, according to the market research, is between 400 to 600. Average there is 500. Only tech leaders are allowed to charge above average. Cost leaders are expected to charge below average. That's why you cannot be spending way too much money in R&D. Otherwise, you will not recover your costs, because your price is limited somehow. Okay, make decision now. How much do you want to invest in R&D? And we move. We are almost there. Then I will give you a short break while I prepare the results.
How much, Emery? 15. So you stick to the minimum.
Excuse me?
Must we stick to the minimum?
Yes.
15.
Mm. Yeah, we stick to 15.
That's good. Okay, we are done. We go to financing. The first one here is venture capital investment. I'm the only venture capitalist available. Only if I want to buy, I tell you, you must put how much I want to buy there. If you need money, you only sell your company when you need money. Or part of the money that you guys are spending was raised through shares. 25% of your company was sold to raise money. You still have 75%. If you want to sell now more of that 75%, you must let me know if you need to raise money. And if I want to buy, I can then buy. Okay. But yeah, I just want you guys to update the interest rate. Okay. Go to the market study. Market study is the market research document. Ne? Go to financing and see how much is interest the rate for short-term loans, for subsidized
5%.
loans, for overdraft, and for interest. If you are investing your money, how much do you earn? Do that quickly while I download your balance sheet.
Why are we in red at the overdraft?
Don't worry, it's because we did not update our opening balance. I will share also a document on WhatsApp now. That will be your balance sheet at startup, and you will have to use it to update. Yeah, I will share. Just fill in those interest rates while I download your balance sheet.
Now, where do we get the interest rates?
They are in the market research document. The last slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
You
Short-term
did.
loans, it's 5%.
Good.
Subsidized loans, we don't. It's 4%, and
You must
interest
fill
on
in.
overdraft is 7%.
That's good. I'm sharing with you now your balance sheet at startup. It's very important for you because you need to update your balance sheet as well, so that rate will disappear. Let me just share with you quickly some desktop. Okay, just one page. Just download it quickly, and we can just let me know if you have downloaded it, so I can explain it.
Okay.
Okay, did you download that?
Yes, I downloaded.
This is, I have 5% here, 4%. Oh. And then I have 7. Okay. You can skip prime cost. Okay. That's your expected profit and loss account. We call it income statement. It's listing just your source of income, the amount, your sales revenue, minus all the expenses that you incurred, and your expected profit or loss. You can see you guys are expecting to make a loss of about 11,539. So that's now the reality of business. You don't expect to be profitable just within 6 months of setting up the business. That's why they will say, if I have to advise you and you want to have a startup, I look at your finances, I look at your sales forecast, because these are the mistakes most startups make. They base their financing too much on sales forecast. They end up not selling. They don't have money to pay rent, to pay the employees. And 4 months down the line, if it's longer, 6 months, they are out of business. So you know, it's good to estimate that you will make good money. But when you end up not making that money, because you cannot control sales sometimes, those are external factors. Demand is an external factor. You don't have, it's called macro factor. You don't have control over that. And if you do your business plan based only on sales, and you did not raise enough money to sustain your business at least for a year, you will end up wasting the money that you actually invested. Because if you see you cannot pay rent, you have lost out already on the money that you have paid rent for the last 5 months. That's why it's either you have enough money to start or don't take a risk to start and you based only your covering your expenses through sales. Are we together? Yes. So you guys are expecting to make about 11,000 loss. I don't expect you guys to go and change your decisions and what so on. You just maybe hope your loss will be the least, then you can win the trophy. Okay. Usually I don't have companies making profits in the first, especially even second round. Some few companies make profit in the second round. Even if you look in your business plan, you could be making a profit only maybe in the second or third round there. Okay. So, but the reason why you need this kind of statements is just to see. You can see how your expenses are lined down there. You can then see, oh, where are we spending so much? So that maybe if you want to go and cut down, you know where we should cut down here and there. Okay, somebody wants to ask.
So could you go back to the financing?
Okay. Subsidized loans, you leave, you don't put anything, you don't put any overdraft, you are not borrowing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are not borrowing anything now. You leave those ones open.
Yeah.
When
no, I wanted to just make sure that
okay. Now we go to the balance sheet. I sent you guys the balance sheet, ne?
Yes.
Do you have it open?
Yes.
I will explain to you now. Yes. I was supposed to do this at the start. Okay. So you guys, the first table is your cash flow statement. Cash flow statement is just to show how much money came in, how much money went out, how much is the closing balance at that specific date. So this is your balance sheet and your cash flow statement at the startup phase. Okay? It was presented at the end of the startup phase. It was your opening balance sheet. Okay? Cash flow, you see the in payments of venture capital. If you went through nicely in your business plan under financial planning, you can see you guys, according to the market study, the owners of the business, you were required to contribute 25,000. Okay? But that 25,000 was not going to be enough for all the expenses we planned here. Okay? Because of that, you were given also a subsidized loans. I think it's 17,000 400 something. 17,286. Okay, so even after you were given that subsidized loans are loans like from Development Bank of Namibia, for example. Those loans that are subsidized, you don't pay all the interest rates. You are subsidized maybe 1% or 2% of the interest. Okay, even after you got that loan, money was not enough to cover the expenses. Then a portion of your company was sold, okay, which is 25%. 1% of your company is worth 1,000. So 25% was sold and it raised 25,000. That's why you see here in payment of venture capital, that's your own money plus the external shareholders who bought 25%. But those guys are not involved in decision making. That's why we call them external venture capitalists. They just give you money. They just want to take part of the profit, but they're not involved in the decision making. Okay, so you and those guys together contributed 50 plus the 17,120 there.
Where are you seeing these things?
I said open your now to unshare the planning tool. I said open the document I shared with you on WhatsApp.
I cannot see those amounts.
Did I share it with you? Yeah, it's the right thing. You can't.
On the
first table. Do you have that document open that says financial report and balance sheet?
Yes.
Nee.
Balance sheet start.
Do you have that document?
Which document? On WhatsApp?
Yeah.
We opened one you shared on.
I shared just now a document, the PDF file.
Yes, that says balance sheet startup.
Yes.
Okay.
If you open that, the first table there is details of your company. You will be team 3. Okay.
Okay.
Then you have a management simulation, top theme. You have participants 1, financial report, blah blah blah. Then you have financial report.
Okay.
Then you have opening balance 0.
Yes.
The figures there,
Yes.
they are in thousands. So they are just shortened here.
Yes.
Yeah, for you to convert these figures in thousands, you ignore that dot in the middle and add 0 at the end. That is the full number.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying your in payment of venture capital is 50,000. I remove the dot, add 0 at the end.
Okay.
Because the report is giving it in a short form. Okay, so you see now that 50 is your 25,000 is own money, 25,000 of external venture capitalists, plus 17,120 in loans. Okay.
Okay.
You actually in total generated or you raised 67,120.
Correct.
Good. But of that money, some of that money was spent by the consultant. Okay? Because some of these items needed to be bought at startup. Okay. Obviously, you are assuming he did this with your permission and all that. So what was paid? Other expenses, 1,000. That 1.00 is 1,000. If you remove dot at 0, okay? That 1,000 was paid for your company to be registered. It's your startup cost. If you check in your market study, there's a cost they called startup cost. It's the cost to get your company registered and get all necessary paperwork. Then you have purchase of production line. I already explained that the consultant bought for you the machine. Okay, at startup, it costed 7,500. Then the consultant also paid for your office equipment. As you operate now, you are operating an office that was set up by the consultant with that 5,000. If you go to the market research, all these figures are there. Okay.
Yes.
So then, total inflow of 67,120 minus total outflow of 13,500, it gives you a closing cash balance of 53,620.
Okay.
So that's the money that we have been budgeting for for rent, for marketing, for buying materials, and so on. Obviously, it was not enough, but you must assume now we are planning this for 6 months. During that 6 months, we are also selling moose. Okay? You have to think that this 53,620 was enough for pre-expenses. Pre-expenses are the expenses we have to pay before we sell. Things like rent, you know, things like buying raw materials, those are pre-expenses. But there are those after expenses that we pay after we have sold, you know, like paying our workers and all that. Okay. So now then you have your balance sheet here, okay, at startup. How much was your company worth at startup? Your company was worth 67,120 in assets. Okay?
Yes.
How are these assets were demarcated? You had some short-term assets that are called current assets. You have some long-term assets. Some long-term assets are like your trade name. Your trade name is worth 1,000 because that's how much you spent to the consultant to get your company registered. Okay. Then you have your fixed assets, also your machines and your office equipment. Your machine costed 7.5. Your office equipment costed 5,000. That makes it 12,500. Then you have your current assets. It's only one there, which is your cash, liquid cash, the cash you in your bank. Okay, so you can see now your 12,500 plus 53,620. It gives you a total balance of assets of 67,120. Okay? That's how you interpret financial statements. But in accounting, we have an equation called an accounting equation. Assets are equal to equity plus liability. In layman's language, that means any asset that we own, it's either it was financed with our own money as shareholders, or it was financed with debts. That's why those sides must always balance. Okay, so that's why you can see here our equity, our equity is 50,000, and our liability is 17,120. 50,000 plus 17,120 will give us also 67,120. Okay, but when you guys as shareholders invest money in the business, all the money is not exposed to expenses. There is what we call now subscribed capital and capital reserve. Obviously, capital reserve is reserved for the future, but the subscribed capital is open for spendings. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just trying to explain how you interpret your results. Okay, now that you have your balance sheet there, I want you now to go back to your planning tool. Okay? Because this balance sheet is coming from my software, you must now update your balance sheet from the soft copy that I shared with you now in PDF. To update those figures here, so that you eliminate this red. Why do you have to do that? If you go to liquidity, go to liquidity quickly. If you go to liquidity there, the liquidity is just about your cash flow statement. That cash flow statement that I showed you was at startup. Now we are at the end of the period 6. So we can see now how the money was following out in and out of the business. At the moment, the cash flow recorded as today, as they say, balance sheet as at today's date. So far, only 79,344 money came in our business. From where? From sales. But if you remember, under market, our sales forecast here was 99,180. But how did it change to 79? Because here we are only recording cash sales, which is 80% of that 99,000. Okay? So that's the only cash that came in the business. But if you look at the cash outflow, there's so much that we have paid for. We have bought the machine, we have paid the workers, we have to buy the raw materials, you know, and other expenses of research and development, market budget, and all that. Rent, those will be categorized under other expenses. So that's why we are red, which means the money that we expect from sales is not enough to cover our expenses. That's why we recorded a loss. You know what a loss means? A loss means that loss of 11,000. It means that 11,000 we are going to take now from our capital reserve, because the sales we made could not cover the expenses we incurred to make such sales. That's what loss means. Loss means we are losing money from our own pocket to keep our company going. Otherwise, if we did not make money from our pocket, we were not going to continue with this business because we are not able to pay our expenses. We are not liquid. You know, when you say you are liquidated, like in Namibia, it's because you don't have cash to cover your expenses. You need somebody to bail you out. So now, why I shared with you that balance sheet PDF is because the opening cash balance of 53,000 that we raised from our own pocket is not reflected here. That's why I want you now to go to your balance sheet here on the planning tool and information from the PDF to this balance sheet here. Then we are done with the first round. But you must update the figures in full, like I was reading them. Like when you have expenditure for it's 1.1, isn't it? I mean, it's 1.00. You just put 1, ignore the dot, 2 zeros, add 0 at the end. Tangible assets, 12,500. It's 1, 2, you ignore the dot, 50, add 0 at the end. You do that.
Yeah.
Current assets, you only have cash there. How much was your cash? 53,600. How much was it?
The cash.
Yeah. 63,620.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you go to the other side of the balance sheet. You have a subscribed capital of 33. How much is this? 33,330. You update that. Okay. Then you have capital reserve 16,600. Okay. You have here 1,670. Okay, you don't have retained earnings yet, no profit yet. Then you have long-term liability there, 120. Excuse me?
Sorry, sir. It's I was talking to my daughter.
Okay. So then you can see your total balance for assets will be equal to total balance of equity and liability there. Should be 6,720. Okay. So then you can see you are balancing. Now you can go back to liquidity now. You see now, you are not in red anymore. You can go to financing now. You don't need overdraft. Okay. So the red that was there is just to show you that you needed some money. Maybe you needed to get an overdraft. Okay. But you can see now you're out of the red. Also, you go to liquidity. If everything goes according to the plan, it means then you still have, after you have paid all your expenses, you still have 15,951 left to start with the second round. Okay, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. One of you can now go and submit under week 1 planning tool. Don't worry, it will say overdue there, but just submit. But since I already have your decisions here, I will just, but before you do that, go to transfer. Almost forgot. You go to transfer, you just click period 1. See that button there? You have that information. Next time when I don't have your data, this will be the information I will need. Sometimes you don't have to submit the planning tool. You can just take a picture of this. You can share with me on WhatsApp. Then I will update this information on the software. I will now give you, I don't want to give you too much time so you will get discouraged. It will take me less than 15 minutes to prepare the results. No, actually just less than 10, because I'm only going to update your information. But I will give you about 20 minutes to rest a bit. Then I can give you the results.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you please go back to your balance sheet?
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah. Which balance
can you
sheet?
go back to your balance sheet?
No, on balance sheet on the planning tool, or?
No, on the yes, on the planning tool.
Yes, I'm there.
The tab, the balance sheet tab, because I'm seeing the transfer.
Oh, your internet is a bit slow.
Okay, just a moment.
Yeah, it will update maybe.
All my thingies are the same, except under the current period, the percentage proportion, it's showing value. It's not showing the 25%.
Okay. It's because maybe you entered. Is it only on that page or somewhere else? Is it showing value?
It's only
somewhere?
there. It's
Just
only there.
re-enter. Just re-enter the figures and make sure if there's a comma somewhere, there might be a comma somewhere. Maybe instead of you maybe used a figure that is not accepted by the system. Just re-enter. In the field,
the numbers.
Yeah, balance sheet, don't touch the white fields. If you see there is a number in the white field, just leave.
Okay.
It will out.